We've reached the halfway mark in the Women's Championship Tour, and we're excited to get this first round underway. But here we go, Courtney fighting her way back.
Tyler Wright on the backhand. Right behind her, Bethany Hamilton.
Be aware, top surfers in the world. Bethany Hamilton on a roll. Tyler Wright again gets upset by Bethany.
Bianca on the forehand. Big snap, throwing a ton of water. Nice exchange between Bianca and Stephanie.
Take me to a place where there ain't a sound. I know it exists.
3 opportunities to deliver big turns to the left.
We're into round 2 action. Head-to-head matchups, elimination round. Vertical, 12 o'clock, lunchtime.
Goodness me, Bianca not left wanting anything on that last ride.
But Tyler Wright, she's into the 3rd round.
Looks for the barrel, finds the barrel. Can she come out? And the answer is yes.
We are now going to get into the 3rd round of the outer-known Women's Fiji Pro. Tyler being forced to surf another heap.
We have 9 world titles in the water for this round 3 heat. Yandra of Fijian, good morning to everyone out there. Thank you for joining us in the outer-known Fiji Women's Pro. Another beautiful day here in Tavarua Island Resort, and beautiful cloud break greeting us this morning. Kaipo girl along with 1989 world champ Martin Potter on the set for the call. We're going to get into round number 4 and the quarterfinals today. A little bit later on, we're going to check in with our commissioner, Jessie Miley-Dyer, to see if we're going to finish up today and crown a champ. But right now, Potts, cloud break looking good, and the ladies look like they're on point to get set for the competition today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a little bit of what we had yesterday. Obviously, we're going to see, you know, cloud break is one of those spots where, you know, you'll have these 3 to 4 foot waves, but then they'll offer those, you know, obviously the bigger ones will come through. So it's going to be an exciting day. We've got some great heats coming up to kick things off. Courtney Conlog, Lake Peterson. That's the quality of surfing we've got here from the get-go.
Courtney Conlog, Lakey Peterson, heat number 2, a big one. Tyler Wright against the wild card, one to be given so much respect at this break, Bethany Hamilton. So that's going to be in heat number 2, round number 4. We got loaded with action this morning here at the outer-known Fiji Women's Pro. We already saw a great day number 1 just yesterday. The swell stuck around.
Yep.
So looks for another great day of surfing action.
Exactly. I mean, you looked at the conditions here this morning, and it's very similar to yesterday. So we're going to have, obviously, really hot dog surfing. It's going to be high performance. For me, one of the standouts yesterday, obviously, was Carissa Moore, number 8 in the world at the moment, coming into this event. So she is really trying to kickstart her year here. And I'll tell you what, some of the mind-blowing performances she put on yesterday in round 1 and then in round 3, I think definitely the one to watch. Well,
let's head out to the water and get the call from Strider Wasilewski as well as our commissioner, Jessie Miley-Dyer.
Good morning, Strider Wasilewski out here in the channel with Jessie Miley-Dyer. Jessie, out here, the waves, they look pretty fun. A little bit moody out though, you know, a little bit of wind, cloud cover. What do we got for today?
Yeah, it is super moody out here today. It's definitely, you know, there's definitely some waves still. I'm not really sure how consistent it's going to be today. I think that's going to be the real big one, but we are going to go for, you know, a start as soon as we can out here. I think that right now what I'm looking at, you know, still got a little bit of swell in the lineup, and this is definitely going to be the best tide for this morning. Start as soon as possible.
And so we're going to get started with round 4. And other rounds possibly?
Yeah, you know, I am actually going to put the quarters and final all the way for the finish on standby for today. I think that this is still going to be the best day that we're looking at in the waiting period, and I just want to make sure that the tide is, you know, really probably the, you know, I want to make sure that we have the best tide possible for those later rounds. So I'm just going to reserve the call for as to, you know, when we would start that, and, you know, assuming that we do, but we're definitely doing round 4. Everyone else is wait and see for a little bit.
Well, there you go. The suspense will build, but the round 4 will get underway here at the outer known Fiji Pro.
All right, well, there we go. The sound of the horn is the start of heat number 1, round number 4, a matchup between Courtney Conlogue, currently number 5 on the Jeep Leaders Board, against number 7 on the Jeep Leaders Board, Lakey Peterson. Even matchup here to start off the day. We have a 35-minute heat, and the clock is counting down right now, Potts.
Yeah, you know, interesting fact there where you heard Jesse talk about, you know, the inconsistency of the swell, but you know, in saying that, that's what cloud break's like. Even when, you know, even when it's pumping, you have those down heats, those heats where it won't be as consistent. So it really does challenge the surface to a point where, you know, you've got to make sure you pick the right waves. You've got to make sure you capitalize on each opportunity that you get. You can't afford to make too many mistakes, because hence you may not get another shot. So it's going to put a little bit more pressure on these surfers, but with an extra 5 minutes on the clock, it's going to give them that extra 5 minutes just to you know, make sure they click into action. But what a heat to start off with. Courtney Conlogue, Lakey Peterson, number 5 and number 7 in the world. Both these young ladies have had a pretty fantastic start to the year. Obviously, Courtney Conlogue winning the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach for a 2nd time in a row. And Lakey Peterson, outstanding performances from her. A 2nd on the Gold Coast and a 3rd at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. So great stuff from her. It's probably a breakthrough year for her, you know, coming off an injury. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, Lakey broke her ankle in 2015 and so had to recover throughout 2016, where she started halfway through the year on the championship tour. Looking in form, as Pot said, opened up with a runner-up finish on stop number 1 at Snapper Rocks from Santa Barbara, California. Interesting note that both Courtney and Lakey are coming off a defeat in this very round at the last stop, the Oi Rio Pro in Brazil. Here we go. Lakey's going to have the first wave of the set and finds no open face, so hands over priority to Courtney Conlogue. So one of these ladies' Pots is going to do better than that 9th place that they're holding from both from the last event.
Yeah, and that's, you know, with that neutral start as well, no priority is allocated until someone catches a wave, so automatic priority going to Courtney Conlogue. You could tell that they were pushing each other, you know, a little bit too far up the point, hence that wave running away from Lakey. So Lakey now has the freedom to roam, and here she goes again.
Lakey finds a corner, draws off the bottom, nice hook off the top on the backhand, comes around again, carves back into the whitewater, a little bit of whitewater on the face. It stands up on the inside section where she's able to go vert, but pokes the nose on the way down and goes incomplete on that final maneuver, but a couple of quality maneuvers previous to that.
Yeah, there's going to be a fair bit of nerves out there at the moment between Lakey and Courtney. This is a do or die round, equal 9th place if you get eliminated here. So not really a good result when you're looking at what they've already got. Both surfers with the 9th place in their tally at the moment. Courtney with a 9th on the Gold Coast, and Lakey and Courtney both with 9th places, as you said before, Kaipo, in Rio. So they don't want to get a back-to-back 9th here. So, you know, this is going to be a few nerves here at the beginning of this heat.
There's certainly some nerves. We always call it the guinea pig heat, which we're setting the scale. Here we go with Courtney Conlogue from Santa Ana, California, 24 years old, and ranked 5th on the Jeep Leaders Board currently. She did have a big win. Stop number 3 at Bells Beach, where she was able to celebrate by ringing that iconic trophy. And she showed nothing but strength and perseverance throughout that event. And that's the kind of strength that we've grown to know with Courtney Conlogue. She's a fiery competitor. She gives 100%. She's unapologetic of, you know, of her determination to win.
Yep. Well, that's how you've got to be. It's not a talent contest. You know, you're not out there to make friends. This is your career's at stake. So, you know, and they know how to leave it out in the water. They don't bring those rivalries back to the beach. You know, it stays out in the lineup, and that's how you've got to be. I mean, Courtney, one of the, you know, as you said, one of the most tenacious competitors, but also very well liked on the World Tour. So Once that jersey comes on, you know, no matter who you are, it's game on, and you're in the way of me getting a better result, so look out. And that's exactly what she does.
Ticker on the bottom of your screen shows all the round 4 matchups that we're going to be viewing this morning, and then we'll be checking in with our commissioner to see if we're going to continue on with the competition day here at the Outer Known Fiji Women's Pro. A little bit of swell showing up here. We are 7:40 local time, Pots, with a rising tide until right about 10 to 11 o'clock. So we're going to see the water fill in on the reef throughout the early part of this morning, and then the rest of the day, the water will be draining off the reef to an extremely low tide that we'll see this afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only real factor, you know, thinking back yesterday with that higher tide, it was more of the wind that was affecting it rather than the actual high tide itself. You know, once you get that water that covers the inside rock shelf, the wind then sends a sort of a reverb off the shelf back into the wave, which creates a little bit of lump and bump. So Jessie's made it quite clear she's going to keep an eye on that. Still, you know, this morning when we got first eyes on the ocean, still plenty of surf around. Cloudbreak at 3 foot is still one of the most high performance waves on the planet. We're going to see some great surfing nonetheless.
It was an incredible phenomena yesterday, Potts, when we looked at the lineup and we saw white capping conditions on the outside on that lower tide, but yet the wave faces were very clean throughout the break.
Well, this reef, it's sort of the way it's shaped, the wave bends around it. So as that wave starts to bend around it, that wind starts to become offshore through the inside section. So, and a lot of that white cap was due to the outgoing tide as well. You know, there's a 600-foot sort of crevasse here between the islands, and basically all that water rushing out against the wind will create those big sort of capping white waters. But have a look at this set coming through right now.
Sets hitting the reef here at Cloudbreak, and we'll see which one Courtney Conlog is going to choose, as she has first priority. Watchful eye of Lakey Peterson says, if Courtney's not going to take it, I'm going to take a sniff at it. Unable to scratch into that wave, and it just rolls down the line. With, you can see those multiple sections there.
To me, I think surfers a little bit out of position here this morning. I think a little bit too far up the reef. Mike Parsons in the corner of Lakey Peterson. Luke Egan in the corner of Courtney Conlog. Both very experienced out here. Both know this place like the back of their hands. So I'm sure that there'll be some signals to get these young ladies back into position.
We saw that yesterday with the outgoing tide. Some of our surfers getting caught out of position and get drawn too far up the reef, especially in the heat between Bronte McCauley and Nikki Van Dyke, in which both ladies didn't catch a wave until well inside the 8-minute mark. Well, as we're waiting for another exchange, we're going to check in with our tower on the reef to our head judge, Richie Porter. Richie, you there?
Good morning, lads.
Morning, Richie. I'd like to get a little bit of a insight on today's judging scale and how it's going to be reflective in the conditions that are on hand.
Yeah, sure. Hang on, we might just hold on that for a sec, because I think Courtney may have a swing at this one. No, Lakey is. I'll be back to you.
Yeah, we're going to go with live action here with Lakey Peterson looking for some open face again. Caught a little bit too far up the reef and too deep. Back to Richie. We'll take another look and see if Courtney takes this one. Richie, sorry, excuse me. Courtney on the paddle. And this is our first sights today of Courtney Conlog with a snap off the top. Building some momentum down the line, goes to the float and gets hung up in the lip. Back to Richie. Richie, you still there?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. It's the question. What was the question? What are we looking at?
How is our
today?
scale reflected in today's conditions here at
Yeah,
Cloudbreak?
sure. And look, the waves are a little bit stronger this morning than yesterday morning. Oh no. But and the swell's meant to die a little bit. So at the moment, the girls are trying to find their way around the lineup. And as you guys know, that is a massive playing field out there, and you can get a little bit lost at times. And the joy of Cloudbreak is not every wave is exactly the same. So you get some wide ones, some inside ones, and the trick is to finding those ones that allow the girls to run off down the reef and get those combinations in the big sections, which we saw yesterday. quite a few good turns going through. So it's a similar day to yesterday. A little bit stronger at the moment than yesterday morning for sure. And we'll see how we go with it.
Richie, what have you noticed a lot about positioning in the lineup? Obviously a big factor, as you talked about how wide the playing field is.
We'll check back with Richie in just a sec. Out on the tower, our judging tower built on the reef here at Cloudbreak.
Yep.
All the way out to sea. It's an island of its own.
It's a permanent fixture, Kaipo. That thing's there all year round. So, and I've heard a lot of stories of it being certain people's saviors. They get washed in on big swells and end up clambering up onto the tower and waiting to be rescued. So it's kind of a life preserver on top of everything else.
As well as it can be used as a bit of a lineup marker, right,
yep,
out there. Previous to these events, there was no lineup marker out there. And here we go, taking a page out of our WSL rule book as far as the judging criteria: commitment and degree of difficulty, innovation and progression, combination of major maneuvers, which I'm sure is going to come into play here, the variety of maneuvers, which I'm sure is going to come into play here, and of course, always speed, power, and flow.
Yeah, with that speed, power, and flow, you're going to get those variety of turns, those combination of major maneuvers, and then it's all transferred into points. And you're going to be looking at good to excellent today. I don't think anything average is going to be making through heats. So we see at the moment just small scores in that poor range, really. 3 points for Lakey Peterson and a 2 for Courtney Conlogue. Plenty of time remaining, though, 23.5 on the clock.
Little vision of Courtney Conlogue's coach, Luke Egan. But as we refer back to that scale, as you said, good to excellent range. So that would be, referencing that graphic, anything from a 6 to a 10 is going to be the surfer's goal today if they want to come through these heats.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, once you get to the pointy end of this event, you know, you're coming up against competitors like Lakey and Courtney. Nothing average is going to win. So, you know, you've really got to dig deep. You've really got to, you know, pick and choose the right waves. There are good ones out there. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. They're going to have to be very vigilant with their positioning, very vigilant with their wave selection. And then on top of that, you've got to make sure you capitalize and make very few mistakes. So, in a sense, almost pull back a little bit and make sure you complete your rides just to get those points.
Well, let's check in with Strider Wasilewski. He's in the water, and he had a chance to catch up with the coaches before the heat started.
Yeah, jumped in the water, got to talk to Mike Parsons. I said, what is going on? Every heat, they paddle all the way out the back. They've been doing it their whole lives. So it's fun to watch that, you know, battle, and kind of an MMA thing within the cage, and it's just every man for himself, or woman in this case. And they just go out all the way back out, but there was a plan. As soon as it's over, get back to the point. Get back to where you need to catch your waves on the inside. Mike Parsons saying that he'd put these two up against anybody on tour as far as fitness goes, and I would too. They're both super fit and ready to rumble. Out in the water right now, they have a really good rivalry, but I think that, you know, Luke Egan in the corner with Courtney, he's got her really on point. And I said, what was it? What is it that you've been telling her as far as your experience out here? And he's like, well, we've been talking about 100 different things as far as his experience out here that he's not going to let us know about, obviously not wanting to give away any of the secrets. So a lot in the back pocket there that he's given to Courtney, and he's not letting it out of the bag, obviously, until it's over.
Thank you for some of that investigative reporting from the water. Strider Wasilewski, he'll be with us all day long, giving us the news from the channel. Interesting to note that the coach is saying for the ladies to paddle all the way up, maybe draw your competitor too far up the reef, and then double back to where, you know, there's going to be more opportunity for open face. With that being said, here we go with Lakey Peterson. Long wall in front of her. She's going to have to make some speed down the line to find some open face. Multiple sections crashing in front of her, and no opportunity for Peterson.
Yeah, kind of baffling, really. You know, she's 4 rolls of the dice and 4 waves where she's kind of got caught behind the section. So she needs to reposition herself, obviously. That was a good wave that ran away from her, just a little bit too far up the point. So, you know, even though there is that jockeying for position, now that priority is established, you know, you can pick and choose wherever you want to sit. So Courtney now with priority is going to probably sit a little bit further down the point. and make sure that her wave is going to be completed. So Lakey Peterson with a 3 as her top score, just a 0.8 on wave number, on her second highest score, is just indicative of not being in the right place. So it comes down to, as we talked about before, positioning being very, very, very crucial here this morning.
Well, both ladies have had success here at this particular break. Courtney, in 2015, had a runner-up finish here. 2016, she had a semi-final finish here. So much is to be expected of Courtney Conlog out at this particular venue.
Well, it's a wave she loves. You know, she came here early. She caught that last big swell. And you just got to go on social media, go on Courtney's Instagram page, and you'll see her sitting in a big 8-foot barrel. So she's not scared. You know, she likes to charge big waves, and she's also got that high-performance game down pat. So there's her 2015, 2016 results, both 5th places and both losses to Joanne Defay.
Well, if she wins this heat, it will be a rematch against Joanne Defay in the quarterfinals. And that's getting social here. You can check out hashtag OKFijiPro, and there's that big barrel with Courtney Conlog just in the middle of that storm.
Yep, sitting on a cloud, a cloud break. I mean, it's you know, that wave, that photo does not do it justice. I mean, that is a big, strong, heaving barrel. It is a wave of consequence when it gets to that size.
Lakey Peterson on the hunt again, trying to scratch into this wave. Again, has to make her way down the line for some open face, and again, caught behind the whitewater. At what point, Potts, is this going to play a little bit of a mental struggle for Lakey Peterson, because she has not yet been able to find any open face?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It's easy for us to sit here and talk about, you know, sit further down, don't go so far up the point, but there's this really slow, gradual current that pulls you further up, and without that experience, you don't necessarily need to paddle back up. I mean, there's that one section right there. Had she got around that section, though, you can see the wave she would have had. So maybe sit, I don't know, 10 feet to the right of where she is at the moment. Don't get encouraged to paddle too far up. You know, she's got 5 waves under her belt right now, and her highest score is a 3. So more waves approaching.
Couple more lines approaching. Let's check in with Waz in the channel.
So been out here every morning watching this go down, and Sally's been sitting out here watching the waves, doing her homework, checking the vibe, understanding what's happening, and I think she's the only one out of the whole crew that's done it. So,
We'll get back with Strider Wazlewski once he gets back from under the water right now, and we'll turn our attention to Lakey Peterson. Oh, and just fins disengaging, little sideways on that drop, and Lakey goes down.
Yeah, just a little bit too much on her heels right there. Unable to get that rail set. A couple of missed opportunities. That could have been an absolute screamer for Lakey Peterson. Time ticking away though, Kaipo. 16.5 minutes remaining. Courtney Conlog with just a 2. Let's have a look at that one right there as Lakey goes down, and look at that thing start to barrel. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful wave. Here's another replay.
Yeah, just a little bit too much on her heels right there. You know, needed to have her weight forward. She was leaning backwards, just off balance. So, you know, with those drops out here, there is a little bit of side cross chop. You got to really lean forward into it, get your weight, your momentum facing down the face of the wave, and in doing so, you'll be able to set that edge, and you'll be able to drive off that bottom and pull, and you know, hopefully pull up into the tube. But Lakey's sitting back on her heels, and unfortunately coming unstuck. So.
Well, Lakey has had success out here. 2015 semifinal appearance for Lakey Peterson, and I'm sure she's going to want at least to get to that round in 2017. We're over halfway through this heat, and really, Potts, when we started this heat, you were saying good to excellent scores are what you're going to need to win today. And the first person who puts up something in the 6 to 10 point range really is going to look good at this point to advance into the quarterfinals.
100%. 15 minutes remaining though, so still plenty of time. It's not a long paddle back out here today. You do not want to use the jet ski. The jet ski is going to deposit you way too far up the reef, and then you've got to hustle to get back into the lineup. So very interesting though. Courtney Conlog has spent a bit of time out here, just out of position for that set. One would have thought with that priority situation, she would have sat further down the reef and made sure she got one of those waves. So Lakey with a 3, and the rest of her waves are less than a point. Courtney with a 2 at this point, and that is all she wrote.
Looking at our screen, Potts, can you tell us which way the water is moving right now, current-wise?
Oh, well, it's gently moving from right to left. So even though you don't know it, you're slowly drifting up the reef. And then once that tide starts going out, it'll become even more drastic. So at this point in time, it's almost like a reverse current that's pulling you back up the point. So without you knowing it, even sitting there, you know, you've got to kind of keep your eye on the cracks underneath you, and it'll give you an idea of how fast you're moving. You know, pick a crack in the reef and stick to it, and that'll keep you in the lineup.
Great insight, and we're going to check back in with Strider Wasilewski in the channel. He's with Sally Fitzgibbons.
Sally, you know, you've been out here each morning, staying really focused on the lineup. You're obviously catching a warm-up surf, but you're also kind of doing your homework. Talk to me a little bit about that.
It's just really cool to try to look from that perspective down here, and there's a good view from the big boat as well, but after the surf, there's just like no better place to be than like best seat in the house, front row, and you can see all those little intricacies, and there's still a nice line to the swell. It's been a slow start to this one, but yeah, it's good just to be out here.
Do you take a look at positioning too then when you're there, when you're watching these heats in the morning?
Yeah, I think I just really enjoy my mornings. Like sunrise came up, there's this crazy rainbow behind me. Just enjoying Waterworld out here, and just, you know, first and foremost, I'm just a fan of the sport, so just getting close up to the action.
Watching the game, all the intricacies. Tell me, did you get into anything this morning before the sun came up?
This morning, you know, it's really busy. There's obviously the public here enjoying their holidays, trying to get a few waves before the comp starts. So it's definitely kind of have to kind of live vicariously through a few others that are on the bomb sets. But a few little nice waves, nice lines. Feeling good on my feet, and equipment's kind of spot on.
Did you get a run around the island?
Not around, oh, in the boat. I just go for the sunrise boat tour, so maybe tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Sally. We'll let you get back to your homework.
Cheers, Strider. Have a good day.
Thanks, Strider. And we can see glimpses of a rainbow on the horizon. Beautiful morning here. Almost the 8 o'clock hour local Fijian time. And 12 minutes counting down. Lakey Peterson now up and riding. That's better with a backhand hook. Comes around the corner again. Vertical turn number 2 and pulls that second maneuver off. So that's going to be a good score for Lakey Peterson to add to her 3-point ride already in her score line.
Yeah, definitely the best wave of the heat so far. 2 solid turns. And, you know, committing to those maneuvers, though, and I think that's sometimes what you've got to do. Do you chase the wave down the line and quite possibly not get around the section? Or do you just rattle off a couple of quick turns? And that's exactly what she did. Found the groove straight away, found that flow, nice clean section. And that's that combination of turns. 2 solid maneuvers for Lakey Peterson, and a fairly solid score. You can see how that wave did run off, so probably a good idea that she didn't try and chase that thing down the line, opting just for those 2 nice maneuvers. Finished on her feet, and a mid-range score.
5-point ride, add that to the 3 already in her scoreline. An 8-point heat total so far puts Lakey Peterson in the lead. Courtney Conlog now needing a 6-point ride or better if she wants to take that lead from Lakey. And 11 minutes counting down. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with the second half of the opening heat of the day here at the out and known Fiji Women's Pro. Welcome back to the outer known Fiji Women's Pro. We are in the opening heat of the day. Beautiful view of our judges tower and our Fiji performers. HWP, the heat winning percentages, 80% on the top of the list, Sally Fitzgibbon, and the average heat score, the AHS, goes to Carissa Moore with 14.72.
Yeah, and look at the event wins too for Sally. One for Joanne DeFay, defending champion here. And guess what? The winner of this heat gets Joanne DeFay, so it doesn't get any easier. The thing that baffles me a little bit at the moment, Kaipo, is the fact that Courtney has only caught one wave. Now, she traditionally is a very busy surfer. She likes to catch a lot of waves. She likes to build that momentum. The longer she sits with 8 minutes and 20 seconds to go, the further up the point she's going to drift, and that next wave is going to be a lot of pressure for her to really connect with it. So it's going to be very interesting when she does catch her next wave and how she surfs it, because with that pressure building, that's when mistakes happen.
Well, to recap the story in the water pots, Courtney is trailing Lakey Peterson, and Courtney in the red jersey needs a 6-point ride or better if she wants to advance past Lakey into the quarterfinals. Courtney does have first priority, so we can see the positioning in the lineup. When a set does come through, Courtney will have first choice of any wave hitting the reef. The time continues to tick down, and with that time ticking down, Potts, the pressure increases for Courtney Conlon.
You know, a smart move too for Lakey to maybe push Courtney further up the point. No, if Lakey starts to paddle towards Courtney, obviously your natural reaction is to want to hold that inside position. Even though you've got priority, you kind of tend to want to keep that inside spot. So Lakey at the moment not forcing the issue, but maybe if you're looking at some sort of attack mode sort of scenario, if Lakey starts to paddle to the left and try and get on the inside of Courtney Conlon, it's going to almost force Courtney to then automatically want to just go with her and follow her up the point, which will then put her way too deep for the next wave.
Surf competition, very physical, but at the same time, Potts, very mental in the approach, and we're going to see some of the psychology come into play in the 6-minute 40-second mark. These two ladies in head-to-head matchups are evenly matched, 2 for Courtney Conlon, 2 for Lakey Peterson. This matchup is going to be that tiebreaker for that head-to-head statistic.
Yeah, very evenly matched. I think as well as abilities go, the way they approach the waves, very similar. Both very fit, both very mentally strong. So no need to stress just yet. Courtney Conlon just needing a 6.0. And now Courtney starting to paddle on her own merit further up the point, which is a very interesting fact. Keeping in mind that every single wave these two surfers have kind of run away and ended up further down the point. So maybe Luke Egan knows something we don't and is directing Courtney further up.
Courtney way up the reef right now. She's going to choose to go on this wave. Winds off the bottom, snaps off the top, comes to another section with another backhand snap. Finding some open face and some rhythm, looking for a finishing maneuver. This wave speeds up. Courtney matches the speed, throws a bunch of spray, goes vert on that 2-for-1 closer, and pulls off the final maneuver on dry reef there, Potts. So well-surfed wave. Good read of the lineup to kind of pick that wave up way up on the reef.
Yeah.
6-point ride, was that it?
Was one of those little sneaky insiders. As you can see that shallow duck dive as Courtney makes her way back out into the lineup. Lakey Peterson dropped a 5.0 for 2 solid backside maneuvers. A lot more damage done on that wave from Courtney. A flat 6 required. Let's have a look at the replay. And Courtney glides into that wave. The first turn important. She connects nicely with it. Very strong back-footed surfer. You won't see her move up and down that board very much. And once she gets her feet planted, this turn right here, probably the best one on the wave, throwing a lot of spray out the back. The 2-for-1 combo and then finishing strong. So maybe not quite riding out of that last maneuver. So 6 points required. Beautiful drone shot here from Courtney Conlon. not one of the bigger waves, so that might be a little bit of a deciding factor in the scoring potential. But that turn right there, you can see how much water got displaced out the back. Super powerful surfer is Courtney Conlog. And every single turn, you know, she's putting 100% into it. So I think it'll be close. I think she may just get the score and flip-flop that lead with Lakey Peterson.
Courtney's not going to wait for that news, as we're still waiting on previous wave score. She's going to continue to surf through here. Another series of backhand off the bottom, off the top. Great rhythm, and goes complete again, hoping to get rid of that 2 that she has in her score line. So now we're on standby, waiting for both 2 scores for Courtney Conlog to have the full story here in our opening heat of the day.
Well, that's more like it from Courtney. We talked about earlier about how she's a busy surfer. She likes to catch a lot of waves. She likes to build that momentum, that rhythm. So she's going to extend her scoring 100% with that 2.0 being ousted. So as you said, still waiting for 2 scores to drop in for Courtney Conlog. 3 minutes remaining. So scores coming through for that previous wave. She was looking for a 6.0. And there it is, Kaipo.
Looking for a 6.0, got a 4.83. We're still on standby for another score for Courtney, as we see an up and out by Lakey Peterson. So given the scenario, it was very smart of her to continue to surf, because she did not do it on that 1 wave previous. Now we're waiting for another score, which may push her over the top. We'll see. Maybe the wave size came into play there.
I think 100% the wave size came in. I mean, she surfed it probably as good as you could. And I think just the size of the wave, you know, when you look at what's been coming through this morning, there's been some pretty solid sets. Inconsistency towards the end of this heat, though. But yeah, 4.83, just under the requirement. Now looking for a 3.18.
Well, let's go to Strider in the water. He's been eavesdropping on what the coaches have to say.
Definitely was just picking up on a really great moment there. Lukey, his coach paddled over to get in the Courtney's last issue was pretty far away, but then directed her, gave her a whistle and said, stay inside, you got to get a quick backup, and she did just that. So some really great coaching out of Luke Eakin there to direct her to stay inside enough to find one of those little inside swingers back outside. They've been getting kind of, you know, a little too deep on this at the back, so finding those waves on the inside a good idea.
Going to live action with Lakey Peterson belting away on the lip on Cloudbreak. Can she hang on to that final maneuver? But while Lakey was surfing, the 3rd score dropped for Courtney Conlog, and it was more than a backup. It was actually the best wave so far surfed in this heat, a 5.27. Combine that with the 4.83, puts Conlog in the lead. Now Lakey Peterson needs a 5.11. She just surfed that wave. We're waiting for that score to see if that is the 5.11 that Lakey needs, and we're just at a minute remaining, Potts.
Yeah, well, it's a very important score here. Let's have a look at it. A smaller wave again from Lakey. She drives around the section. Sort of a check turn. This needs to be a big maneuver, and it is. She throws everything at it. Needed to ride out of this one, I think, to get the score. Had she completed that maneuver, that final turn, she would have definitely got the score. But in saying that, this is Courtney Conlog's 5.27. Picked this one up on the way back out. Smart move from her. And a couple of nice maneuvers right there. 5.27 puts her in the lead. Lakey Peterson's last score just dropped, and it is not enough, Kaipo.
3.9. So going incomplete and not able to ride out of that final maneuver may be the difference here in this heat, and may be the difference between advancing to the quarterfinals or not for Lakey Peterson. Clock's counting down, and it looks like it's going to be a done deal with Courtney Conlog moving on into the quarterfinals. Just 10 seconds remaining, Pops.
Yeah, you just got to go back to all those waves that Lakey was a little bit too deep on. That big set wave where she sat on her heels and failed to make the drop. That could have been a massive score. That could have been an excellent score for Lakey. So a couple of missed opportunities for her as we hear the end of the heat. Courtney Conlog dodges a bullet and moves through to the quarterfinals to meet Joanne Defay.
That's right. She will be in quarterfinal number 1. Courtney Conlog continues her roll, and Lakey Peterson will be taking home a 9th place finish here at the Out and Own Fiji Women's Pro. And we'll be back with more from Cloudbreak. Stick around. Coming up next, Tyler Wright versus Bethany Hamilton, heat number 2 of the day.